Have you ever wanted to cast your light fly rod farther and you weren't sure what kind of distance they were capable of or how you could achieve a longer distance? My name is Captain Chris Myers of Orlando Fly Casting Lessons. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how far this cast traveled, and at the end of this video, I'm going to give you my top tips for improving the distance of your fly fishing cast. I was out here doing some other filming today, and I thought I would see just how far I could cast this little 3-weight Redington Classic trout rod. I think at the time I bought it, it was under $100. You can still get them, and if you're impressed with what this rod can do, I'll leave a link to this exact model down in the description. But most people fishing with a rod this size are probably not casting any farther than that right there. So 20, 30 feet, it does fine. But when we start getting into longer casts and we need the rod to bend more, it's going to be critical that we can maintain tension and line speed. So there we are, probably about 50 feet. I only have a couple wraps of line left on this little spool here. And now I'm going to pick up a little longer piece and start with that much longer than I would normally be picking up with a rod this size, but that's going to minimize how many false casts I should have to do. There you go, all the way tight at the reel. That was a 70 foot, probably a little more with the leader. I think that's about 70 feet of fly line in 2 back casts. Shows you how far you could cast and why would you want to cast that far with a little bitty rod. Well, if I was fishing this pond and I can cover that much water, it's a lot less casting. I can get the fish that are farther away, maybe fish that are farther out in the middle. So casting, being able to cast a long distance might not always be something you need to do, but when you want to do it, it's very valuable to have that ability in your tool set. Now, if you're wanting to give this a try at home, there's a couple important things you're going to have to take into consideration, and how you're picking this line up off the water is super important. If you're not familiar with picking up longer lengths of line, you can check out my videos on those. This, to me, with these smaller rods and these super tiny little stripping guides they have on here, which really choke up the line, is probably the biggest challenge is that first lift off. And sometimes you will see that you get a droop between your hand and that first guide. If that's the case, you have to know that as you're changing directions, you're going to have to pull that sag out before your cast begins. But once you have that thing going up in the air, you really want to try to keep that line tight all the way from your hand to the tip. So once I have this going, the line here behind me, between my hand, my left hand, and that first guide is tight. Now I'm going to let it droop. See that droop there? And it all fell apart. Got to keep it tight. Because it had so much line speed, it shoots out a ton of line at the end. If you do not have that line speed, you're really going to struggle making these longer casts. Hauling is not 100% required to generate line speed. It certainly helps. I also have some videos on how you can generate more line speed and why you may need it. You can check those out. But this was just a demo to show you if you only have a 3 or 4 weight, you're fishing in a pond or a lake, you want to cast longer distances, it certainly can be done. And if you want to know how to create tighter loops when you're fly casting, you can check out my video on that right here. Sure, if you like this video, become a subscriber, and we'll see you at the next one.